It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6, talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Your emails as well at randykabc@gmail.com. And search for the KABC News Blitz and hit subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. All right, we're going to get right into this because there's no bigger story right now than the President of the United States sitting down with local leaders, including Karen Bass and Catherine Barger and a whole bunch of Congress people. And hey, there's Rick Grinnell. And talking about the Palisades fires in the Palisades. Trump is in Southern California right now. I have this queued up to the beginning of him speaking at the Roundtable in case you missed any of it. Let's go.
This is an honor to be with you. Unfortunately, it's a very sad period, but what makes you feel good is I met so many of the homeowners, and every one of them, a lot of them, and every one of them said to me they want to rebuild. I said, will you go elsewhere? No. It wasn't even like a question. They love the area. They love the people. It's like a family. It's incredible, actually, when you see some things like that. We just left North Carolina, and we had just a similar type of disaster. It was water instead of fire, but boy, that water did damage like I've never seen before. And then you come here and you see this. But the people are so amazing, and your fire department was so beautiful. Every one of them is in perfect physical shape. I said, what do you guys do? They have very high standards, I can tell you. And we took pictures with all of them, but very nicely they gave us a little helmet. And I said, you wear this, huh? Is this
he got a prop. He's got a fire helmet that says 47 on it from LAFD.
Real? And they said, yeah. I said, it's awfully heavy. You have to be very strong to wear that. But that's the original, right? So it's pretty good. But I just want to thank everybody. We're going to be with you. Your governor met us at the plane, and we had a good talk, very, very positive talk. We have to work together to get this really worked out. I don't think you can realize how rough it is, how devastating it is until you see it. I didn't realize. I mean, I saw a lot of bad things on television, but the extent of it, the size of it, we flew over it in a helicopter. We flew to a few of the areas, and it is devastation. It's incredible. It's really an incineration. Even some of the chimneys came down, okay? When you have the chimneys come down, you know that's pretty hot stuff, and a lot of them were down. That was a bad sign, too. But I just want to commiserate, and we're going to celebrate. We'll be back to celebrate one day soon, I hope soon. The federal government standing behind you, 100%.
That's good. Love to hear that.
The First Lady and I are in California to express a great love for the people of California. I've had great support always in California. We did very well recently, as you know, relatively speaking, at least I can say. And it's been amazing. I have property in California, not too far away, actually, right up the road in Palos Verdes, a big property. And I've always loved it. I've always loved being here. But we have to grieve for the 28 Californians who have tragically perished. And sadly, you're going to be finding more. And that's going to be very sad because I know people are missing. And when you look at that kind of incineration, you know what's going to happen. You're going to find some more. But with all that we've gone through, I watched your firefighters. And they were really fighting at a big disadvantage. I got to know a lot of them just now, and they're incredible people. They were so happy. They were saying, congratulations, sir. You know, they're thinking about country maybe even before this location that they all love. But I'm pleased to be joined by many of the great California leaders, both Democrat and Republican.
Oh, boy, it's time for shout-outs.
And it's an honor to meet some of you I didn't know, but I know every one of you by name. L.A. County Supervisor Catherine Barger. Thank you, Catherine, very much.
Barger gets top billing.
Mayor Karen Bass. Thank you, Karen. It's nice to meet you. Representatives Jay Obernolte. Where's Jay? Jay, hi, Jay. It's been a tough period, Jay, right? Vince Fong, Kevin Kiley. Vince and Kevin, hi. Hi, Vince. A man I know very well. I know him too well, actually. And I say that actually with love because he's actually been a great congressman for a long time, and he's a great leader, and he loves the area as much as anybody, right, Daryl? So Daryl Issa, young Kim.
Did every member of the California delegation show up to this thing?
Congratulations on an excellent career. I appreciate it. Another one I know pretty well is, to put it mildly, is Tom McClintock. And he's been with us for a long time. We have some interesting things going on in Washington. And it's an honor that you guys are here. Thank you, Daryl, very much, Tom. George Whitesides. Good.
He doesn't know who that is.
George States. It's a great name, too, by the way.
That's the new congressman that beat Garcia.
Brad Sherman. Oh, I know Brad well. I know Brad, but that's all right. We're on the same side of this one. I know that. We'll work together, Brad, very well. A lot of respect. And Presidential Envoy Rick Grinnell, who's done a fantastic job for me.
Yeah, Rick Grinnell is sitting right next to Trump, and Melania is sitting on the other side of him. Rick Grinnell's right there.
Over the years, he was ambassador to Germany, and he was fantastic. So 2.5 weeks ago, over 100-mile-an-hour winds transformed the Palisades fire and other areas, too, into absolute infernos of death and destruction. And this is already the most expensive natural disaster, they say, in American history. That's pretty amazing. The numbers are going to be staggering. Most importantly, we have to get it built, and we have to hopefully find as few people as possible. We have already too many, 28 at least, they say. We're going to work very hard with the mayor, the governor, the supervisor, and everybody.
By the way, Gavin wasn't invited to this. They did meet on the tarmac, and they spoke to the press for a few minutes, and it was very cordial, and they hugged it out, bro. But Gavin was not invited to this roundtable.
And get the resources behind you. We have some amazing people, and we have some amazing fighters for things like this. I also had the concept of getting some of the best developers in the country. I've had so many calls from developers.
I mean, this is where having the builder in charge could do real well for SoCal.
And they want to come in. They don't want anything. They just want to come in and help, and they really know how to get things done and get things built. I would ask that the local officials, because we're going to essentially waive all federal permits. We're going to have you go very quickly, because a federal permit can take 10 years. We're not going to do that. We don't want to take 10 days. I would.
Big applause line for we're going to move quickly, waive all those federal permits.
We're declaring this a national emergency. By doing that, I can give you immediate permits. I'd ask that the local permitting process be the same. Some of the people were saying they're going to be forced to wait 18 months for their permits, and I don't think you're going to do that. I can't imagine that. So they are literally in a position right now they'd like to start tonight, and they'll clean their site. They'll do everything. They just want to.
Well, hold on a second. Barbara Ferrer hasn't finished mopping up the ash.
Start, and they were very concerned with the 18 months. So I'm sure you can get it down to, I would say, not even 18 days. They are ready, Mayor. They are ready to start. They're ready. I met so many of them. The fire took place. It's nice and cool there now, and they want to start taking the debris. They want to take the debris. They want to do everything. They'll get rid of everything. They're going to do it by their own hand. And you're going to see some amazing things happen. So we're waiving the federal permits. Either waive them or give them to you so rapidly it's going to be essentially the same thing, but we're going to try.
Quickest permits you've ever seen.
Just waive them, and we'll rely on the local. But the local, I hope, is going to do the same exact thing. They're literally ready to start right away tonight. So if you could do almost the same thing or the same thing would be great. For a building permit, you're going to have to, check things out a little bit. A lot of them, every single one of them said they're going to rebuild. I didn't have one person say they're selling or they're leaving or they're disgusted. They love their community, and it's incredible. We even had one from, your neck of the woods, right? Yeah. Do you want to stand up? It was so nice the way.
I guess somebody's from Melania's home country.
She greeted my wife in a very different language, right? And it was.
I don't feel bad that I don't remember what country she's from, because I don't think Trump remembers either.
Very nice to see. And you're staying and you're going to rebuild and everything else. Yeah, everybody. So it's really great. So I'm signing an executive order to open up the pumps and valves in the north. We want to get that water pouring down here as quickly as possible and let hundreds of millions of gallons of water flow down into Southern California. And that'll be a big benefit to you. If you don't want it, you're going to tell me, but I can't imagine it. I tell you who does like it is the fire department. When I said that, they were very happy with that. They didn't mind hearing that. But we have a lot of water that is available, and I hope you can work that out among yourselves. But I think this will show that we have to have that water. We have to have that water. You're talking about unlimited water coming up from the Pacific Northwest, even coming up from parts of Canada. And it pours down naturally. It has for a million years. For a million years, it pours down. You'll never run out.
Might be longer than that.
You'll never have shortages, and you won't have things like this. And when you do, you'll have a lot of water to put it out. So I'm going to ask that you figure that out. But I really strongly recommended this 7 years ago, and I think I'm going to just do it. If you have big problems, you're going to let me know, but I just can't even imagine it. But we're also surging federal resources and assistance to the state, and California must adopt the common sense policies to prevent fires, and we all know that. We were talking 7 or 8 years ago, I was talking to people from Austria, people from Finland, people that live in forests. And one of the gentlemen, one of the top great leaders of Austria, said, we don't have forest fires, and we have trees that are actually far more flammable than they have in California, but they literally rake their forest. They take down, if a tree comes down, they take it down. They say you have 18 months. After that, it's like a matchstick. And I know environmentally, some environmental groups like the trees to just melt into the ground, but when they do melt into the ground, they become an inferno. So I think you're going to have to change your ways in terms of that. You have 30 years of leaves, and those leaves are dry as a bone, and they burn. Interestingly, because I was at Paradise, who's the general, right? A long time ago, I was at Paradise. What a beautiful paradise it was. And how is it doing, by the way? Are they rebuilding, right?
They're rebuilding it.
Remember when he said, you were up here, President. I went there. I never saw anything like it. But you know what amazed me? I'll never forget it. The trees were okay, because the trees are loaded with water. They sucked that water out of the ground. And this was an inferno, just like, I would say, no different than this. And it was also the wind that caused a lot of problem. I mean, you had tremendous winds that there's not a lot you're going to do with. We had up to 100-mile-an-hour winds. It's unheard of. But when I was in Paradise, I noticed that the trees, they were dark on the bottom, but they were absolutely living, and they lived because they're soaking wet. But the trees that were on the ground, within 12 to 18 months, they say 18 months at a maximum, you have to cut them up, take them away, because they're matchsticks.
This is a subject he's very interested in.
But we saw that. You saw that with me. I commented at the time. I said, look at this. The house is burned down, and the tree is standing, and it's, other than being a little different color on the bottom, and it went through an inferno. It's amazing. It's soaking wet. So I think they have to do it. It's called management of the floor. And when the gentleman from Austria and also Finland and other countries, they said we manage the forest floor very, very carefully, and we don't have forest fires. They just don't have them. So I'm sure you're going to do the same thing. So there can be no golden age without the Golden State. It's a great state. It's a fantastic place, and we're going to have a big celebration soon. We're going to come back, and we'll come back as much as you need, and we're going to turn it around, and we're going to open the coffers. America wants us to be taken care of This was a horrible thing to watch, and the way it just kept going and going, and then they'd find another area. It was like genius.
I was watching our.
Okay, well, we'll keep going with this it's kind of a press conference. It's more of a roundtable with a bunch of local officials in the Palisades. And we'll continue to hear from President Donald Trump as he speaks to Karen Bass and Catherine Barger and way too many members of Congress. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang as the president is in Southern California, Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. Let's go back to the president in the Palisades. Here we go.
Never forget when I got the Olympics, and then I was president when I got them. And I said, oh boy, it's too bad I won't be president. Who knew this was going to happen, right? I said, I won't be president because it would have been the 4 years. And in fact, I'd be retired by 4 days right now, I guess, right? So anyway, I got him, and at least I'll be able to celebrate the Olympics, the World Cup, and the 250 years is going to be a very big deal. So we have the three biggest there are, and it was an honor to get. If you have any questions, please let me know. And if you have a statement to make, I'd love to have politically, if you'd like to make a statement. Brad, go ahead.
Mr. President.
Okay, I'll do it.
Mr. President, thank you.
Oh, Brad Sherman just big-timed Karen Bass.
Sure,
for coming
thank you, Brad.
to the 32nd Congressional District and
Thank you.
making feel
Boy, do I know that voice. I lived in his district for a long time, and he would call and leave the most boring voicemails in the world. This is Brad Sherman, and I would like to invite you to a town hall. Stop eating up my voicemail, Brad.
Most people don't have adequate insurance because they couldn't get.
Are we going to talk to the president about the insurance crisis in California? Because that would be fascinating.
It. So one company dropped 1,600 policies just in the last 6 months. We've got 16 times as much property damage here as from Hawaii. And I'm hoping that we get at least 16 times the federal appropriation.
Oh, this is going to be for federal aid with no restrictions. Okay, we get it.
For the CDBG program that helps people rebuild.
I thought that club went out of business.
And I know you've talked about policies of California that you're not a fan of. But I've been in Congress for 28 years. I really disagree with Louisiana on their abortion policy. I disagree with them on their campaign finance policy. I disagree with North Dakota on their gun policy. And
Is there a question here?
I would never turn to somebody from Louisiana and say, you keep living on your cousin's couch, because we're not going to help you rebuild until Louisiana agrees with me on a woman's right to choose. So I'm hoping that we can get these funds and that we don't punish individuals for the policies of their state. You can disagree with them, and I think you've got some ideas. I look forward to us listening. Also on tariffs, I often agree with you on tariffs.
Brad Sherman, come on. There's like 30 people that want to speak.
But how about no tariffs on building materials for the next 3 years?
We'll take a look at that, actually.
Mr. President.
Oh, now Karen Bass gets to speak. When we come back, we'll hear what Karen Bass and maybe Catherine Barger, if we have time, have to say to the president. The president is in the Palisades, and we've got the conference right here. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Your emails at randykabc@gmail.com. And wherever you get your podcasts, search for the KABC News Blitz and give us a subscribe. We are listening to the President of the United States in the Palisades at a roundtable with local elected officials and way too many members of Congress. Let's hear what Karen Bass has to say to Donald Trump.
Mayor, please.
Yes. First of all, let me just take the opportunity to officially welcome you to Los Angeles. Really appreciate you coming, and especially you come just a few days after your inauguration. So
Thank you.
I want you to know that your presence here is very much appreciated. Let me also say that I know you
Got to kill him with kindness if you want that money.
had an opportunity to see the devastation. You've seen the extreme loss. the grief that people are going through here. And we are 100% committed to getting this neighborhood rebuilt again. You mentioned a couple of things in terms of us expediting. So I signed executive directives right away so that we could cut the red tape. We could get people back building as fast as possible. And we're going to continue doing that.
Yeah, the one thing is they are saying they will not be allowed to start for 18 months.
No, that will not be the case.
Okay, I just hope you're right.
You can hold me to it.
There's 4 groups said that.
No.
That would be they should be able to do it. They should be able to start tonight.
That will not be the case.
Let's start right now.
You know, first we have...
Apparently there's a little bit of confusion because the Army Corps of Engineers was saying it'll take 18 months to get rid of the soil and debris. We got to go faster than that.
To take care of, to make sure that there's not getting rid of the hazardous waste, cleaning things up so that people can start right away. And just like you said, if somebody had their house was destroyed and they're...
If not one house is being built by the time Karen Bass is running for re-election next year, Rick Caruso's going to win.
To rebuild essentially the same, maybe a little bit longer, a little bit higher, they really shouldn't have to go through much of a process. So I want you to know that we are expediting that. We absolutely need your help. We need the federal help.
You got it. I told you. You will have no permit problem. There will be zero delay. And as far as I'm concerned, you already have the permits.
And the resources.
I am more worried because I met at least 8 groups of homeowners, and I'm much more worried about the fact that they said it's 18 months exactly. And they were devastated. They want to start now. They want to start removing things. They're not allowed to do it now. And you mentioned...
Well, Barbara Ferrer has to mop up all the ash first. She explained this in a presser.
Hazardous waste. Well, the hazardous waste. What's hazardous waste? I mean, you're going to have to define that. We're going to go through a whole series of questions on determining what's hazardous.
Nope.
I just think you have to allow the people to go on their site and start the process tonight.
And we will.
Okay, good.
You can come back and check.
Mr. President?
Yes.
I'm Congressmember Judy Chu, and I represent the areas of Altadena and Pasadena.
Yes.
That's the Eaton
Judy Chu was getting Karen Bass out of that because that was getting a little testy.
Fire. And there is a world of hurt there. I know that you've gone to the Palisades and you've seen the devastation,
right.
But it's apocalyptic in Altadena, and thank goodness I have a partner with Supervisor Catherine Barger in working to help people get back to normal and to rebuild. But right now they have nothing, and there have been 9,500 structures burned. Most of the deaths have occurred in our area with the Eaton fire, and thousands of people are without homes. And these are working people. These are working class people. They are people like Dr. Jackie Jacobs, who was an educator all her life and then finally became the first black administrator of her educational institution, Pasadena City College, and then retired, now 88 years old, and then her home of 30 years burned in Altadena.
Yeah.
She has nothing. She left with only the clothes on her back. She has nothing. And so they need this help, and I just want to make sure that you remember the people in Altadena and Pasadena, and that you can come there and see how terrible the devastation has been there so that they can get the help that they need.
Just remember one thing, and I like the way you express yourself beautifully, actually, but I've only been here 3 days, and I'll do a great job. But we had another president.
It's time for some Biden bashing.
And this took place during the life of another president, not me. But I'm going to be the president that's going to help you fix it, because he would not have been able to help you fix it, okay? So we'll take care of it. We'll take care of it, and we'll work closely.
About half the room is applauding that one.
Work closely, and I know your community was really devastated. Incredibly, so we understand that. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, I'm just going to follow up.
Hey, it's Catherine Barger.
Yes, please, go ahead.
And I also represent Altadena, and what I tell people is, people of Altadena are the exact people you talked to when you were running. You've got individuals from every walk of life, and it is actually at one time was the only place African Americans could purchase homes. It was redlined. And so you've got a lot of generational wealth there. And one of the commitments I've made, and we've had meetings with some of you people in HUD that you've got there now, to work with them and work with your administration to see how we can help. And I've been pleasantly surprised. I know on HUD we've got some asks that we are going to be working with you on. But more importantly, I just really want to emphasize what Congresswoman Chu said, and that is that these are individuals who are feeling forgotten. And what I tell them is, and when we invited you out, I told, when I went to the AME church, this president was talking to you when he was running. You understand the difficulty in making ends meet. You understand the high cost of living. And now their biggest fear is that that's going to impact their ability to rebuild. And I have made them this commitment, because this is my last term, that for the next 4 years, you talk about 18 months, I've told our county staff that if you're going to get in the way, then get another job. Because we are an all-hands-on-deck. And quite frankly...
No, she didn't. Let me rewind that a little bit. Oh, my goodness.
Quite frankly...
The OG of the quite frankly, Catherine Barger, just did it to the President of the United States.
You're going to get in the way, then get another job. Because we are an all-hands-on-deck. And quite frankly, if the bureaucracy can't get out of the way, we'll just roll over it. And we've said...
That is a great line.
That we've made it clear. The governor's waived CEQA, which I feel should be completely reformed, if not eliminated.
I'm with you on that, baby.
And if it's being eliminated for this...
How are they doing with CEQA?
How are they doing?
How is it? What's been the attitude of the people running that whole situation?
It adds sometimes years on to an application.
Can't do it. Can't.
No, and the governor's
and Coastal Commission also.
He waived that.
We're going to have to override the Coastal Commission, because I've dealt with the Coastal Commission for a long time, and they are...
He literally has a property on the coast.
They are considered the most difficult in the entire country, and we cannot have them play their games and wait 10 years to give somebody a permit. In fact, I'm going to override the Coastal Commission. I'm not going to let them get away with it.
Oh, boy. I don't know how that works, but yes, if the federal government can override and shut down CEQA and shut down the Coastal Commission, that's going to be huge.
Their antics.
Well,
okay. I think the reason Rick Grinnell is there is Rick Grinnell told him all about all this stuff.
Thank you. Thank you, David.
Mr. President,
I'm never going to forget the day that I saw LA County Supervisor Catherine Barger do what she does best.
Quite frankly...
To the president. We'll continue with this roundtable. It's going on right now. It's still going on with Donald Trump and Karen Bass and Catherine Barger and Rick Grinnell and so many members of Congress. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. We're going to get back to the roundtable that's going on with Donald Trump and all of the local elected officials and way too many members of Congress. But first, a little something from us to you. A thank you for listening to KABC. 790 KABC welcomes Lewis Black to the Orpheum Theater on February 1st. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. But right now, caller number 9 at 1-888-790-5222 gets a pair of tickets to the show. Tickets furnished by Live Nation. Good luck dialing. More of the roundtable in the Palisades next. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. The president is in the Palisades at a roundtable with Karen Bass, Catherine Barger, and a whole bunch of other elected officials. I think it's Kevin Kiley's turn to speak.
Mr. President. Mr. President, could I just speak for a moment?
Kevin Kiley, California.
Yes.
First of all, you're absolutely right about the Coastal Commission. I've introduced legislation to rein them in. We've been talking with Rick about this.
They're out of control.
Absolutely out of control. It's insane the things they've been getting away with.
I think they thrive on it, actually, if you want to know the truth. So ridiculous.
That's right. They even tried to...
The fact that the federal government is so invested in taking down the Coastal Commission and CEQA could be very good news.
Stop SpaceX from launching rockets.
That's true.
But you mentioned your predecessor and how he didn't fix the situation, which is absolutely right. Not only that, during the Calder fire, which was a few years ago, which was in my district, 600 people lost their homes in a town called Grizzly Flat. He came and he promised that he would help them out, but he broke that promise many times. He never delivered them the individual assistance they were asking for. So this has underscored for me the importance of helping the victims, making sure in this situation, in every fire, we get money to the victims, and we make sure that, that nothing stands in the way of that. But I just want to thank you for your focus on bringing sanity to California, water and fire policy. There is no place that needs a revolution in common sense quite like California.
You have so much water. Use it and be happy about it.
Mr. President,
Be happy.
Mr. President, my name is Joel Pollack, and I am a journalist with Breitbart News, but I happen to live in the Pacific Palisades, as do other colleagues. One colleague, John Kahn, wrote the song Fighter, which you played at your campaign rallies. He lost his house and the studio he wrote that song in. We were lucky because I was able to fight the fire on my fence. But when I got to my house, there was no water in the pipes. So I got inside and I picked up the flower vases because I give my wife flowers every week, and there was water there. And we
Little humble brag there.
started with that. Then I found my son's bucket of baseballs, and I dumped the baseballs on the ground and I used the bucket. But there was still no water except for the water in the gutter coming from the burnt homes uphill. So I went to and fro to my gutter and my fence with my bucket. 2 guys showed up in a truck, 2 neighbors. We found 2 more buckets, bucket after bucket after bucket. Many of my neighbors, including some here, tried to fight the fires. They couldn't. We were lucky our house was saved. But we should not have to rely on buckets to put out a fire.
That's right.
You can't stop an 80-mile-per-hour wind or 100-mile-per-hour wind, but there were many things that went wrong here that are basic and small. We did not have traffic police to guide the evacuation, so there was gridlock on Sunset.
Yes, that was a major factor. The people abandoning their cars, the fire trucks couldn't get through. That's huge.
Removed the vehicles now, but there were dozens of vehicles that were abandoned by drivers who fled for their lives because there were no traffic cops available. The fire department wasn't pre-deployed, even though there was an extreme wind event coming. And many of my neighbors lost their fire insurance in the days before the blaze. So I asked my neighbors what would they want to know if I could ask the president a question, and the number one thing was insurance.
I love this.
Can you work with the insurance companies to get people back to where they were before they lost the coverage because of California's regulations? And can you make California change its rules so that when we build again, we can get fire insurance and we don't have to worry? And there's one other point I want to make. I really appreciate my congressman advocating for money. We need the money from the federal government. But I also understand Americans who are tired of spending money on California and disasters happen, and the California government passes $50 million to oppose your policies. So they have $50 million for that, but not for moving people into rental homes or
This is why Gavin wasn't invited to this.
helping people relocate or rebuild. I would like to ask you to follow the 9/11 Commission precedent and appoint a special master to watch the money, to make sure that every federal dollar that gets spent here is spent on fire relief and rebuilding and not on everything else.
Good idea. Here's a good one right over here. I don't know if you... Do we all like
He's
Rick?
very busy.
He's ambassador to Germany.
Oh, he's pointing to Rick Grinnell. Is Rick Grinnell going to be in charge of the fire money? That would be interesting.
It was fantastic. Angela Merkel's happiest day ever in her history, and she had a long history, was the day I removed him from there and put him in charge of a very high level of intelligence and intelligent people, but they were not intelligent enough to fool him. But Rick Grinnell has been fantastic, and he lives here, and I don't know if you want to either think about it or recommend some people or get together and recommend some people as a group, which is fine. But Rick would be somebody that I would certainly consider. And Breitbart is fantastic, by the way. Congratulations
You imagine Rick Grinnell's the Rainmaker?
on that. and I was so impressed with the firefighters I met before. And they said that, I asked them how many of the pumps, how many of the hydrants were working. And it was a, large percentage of them were not working at all. They had no water. And the ones that did have water didn't have a lot of pressure. And one of the things that was missing, many of you have sprinklers over your living room and your bathroom and your kitchen. I mean, if those sprinklers worked with some pressure, you would have had a much different outcome. So we're going to work on that. I think in terms of that, Rick Grinnell would be good, or Rick, you'll head up a group of people that would recommend a few people to me, maybe a commission, set up a commission. I like it because we're talking about a lot of money. The other one is Kelly Loeffler is now the head of small business, and small business is big business. It's actually one of the biggest banks in the world. We call it the Small Business Administration, and she's a cabinet member, full cabinet member. She's fantastic. Her husband is the head of the New York Stock Exchange, so they know something about money and other exchanges, actually.
Looks like a lot of decisions being made right here at this roundtable. This is still going on, by the way, so if you want to get on YouTube later, any of the local channels have it. It's all over the place. They spoke for about an hour. It is pretty fascinating. I didn't get to it, but Tracy Park had a very strong statement as well. Thank you all for sitting along with me as we listen to history being made here, as the president is in the Palisades and local officials are talking about recovering from this wildfire. Have a great weekend, everybody. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC.